Happy Purim, happy Purim, happy Purim, happy Purim to everybody. We just started in Jerusalem a couple of hours ago. Jerusalem, I think I mentioned this, is an ancient walled city. We celebrate here Shushan Purim, which is the day after Purim. It's the day when the people of the city of Shushan, the ancient Ir Habira, the ancient capital of the Persian Empire, which was most of the civilized world. Shushan was where the Purim story took place. It's where the king lived. It was a walled city. So now the custom is, and in Shushan, the Jews killed their enemies the day after those who dared to stand up to them, which were not very many. Once the king had given the seal of approval for them to defend themselves, at that point, people backed off. Why before were people unafraid of the Jewish people? Because the king, and always in the Torah tells us that in the Megillah, in the scroll of Esther that we read, the king always represents the king. So the king had given his seal of authority to the wicked Haman. Boo! And that allowed for horrible things to happen, potentially to the Jewish people. But once the beautiful Esther risked her life to intervene and told the king, this wicked Haman, boo, is trying to destroy my people, everything turned around. And though the decree of a king sealed with his seal couldn't be revoked, but a new decree could take place on top of it. And once the freedom, once the control of the seal was given over to the side of good, so everybody, the enemies, became afraid and things fell into place. So when the seal of the king is given over to the side of good, even if there's opposition, you may have heard the phrase, you may have heard people say, God wins. God's going to win. God wins. That's the end of the story. But he wins through us when the seal of the king is given over to the good people, to the holy, righteous people. Even if they're not all that holy and righteous, but they're good. They want to be good. They want to be holy and righteous. So once the seal of the king is put in their hands, it's not that they have to have superpowers. It's not that they have to be the greatest, the most numerous. That is not necessary anymore, because once the king gives his seal of approval, I'm with you, everything else just falls away. So I want to wish everybody l'chaim. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. We are told on Purim, although drunkenness is very discouraged in the Torah, we're told to drink until the state that's called adalo yada, until you don't know. And they say that you're supposed to drink till you don't know the difference between the wicked Haman and the holy Mordechai, the tzaddik Mordechai. Let me get rid of that beeping. But the truth is there are many other interpretations as well. So we're in our 6 weeks of metamorphosis where we're rewiring our brain, and we're going to be learning a lot and doing a lot. This is a challenge. I asked you guys yesterday, I think it was yesterday, who's in? No, it was Friday before Shabbat. Who's in? And a number of you said you're in. I hope that more and more people will be in, because when we do something together collectively, we build a morphic field with a lot more speed than we could possibly do alone, and a lot more power. It actually has a power of its own. L'chaim Edna. Happy Purim. So I want to bring out that it also used the word yada, adale yada, till we don't know, is intimately connected with the word dat or das. We're taught that Mashiach, the Redeemer, will come when we are in a state of hesach hadas, when our knowing is removed. So what is this whole thing about drinking till you don't know, and Mashiach will come when you don't know? So I want to bring your attention to the idea, to the historical reality that all of this difficult situation, of this fallen world, I'm not in the mood to talk about heavy things, but I'll just say everything that we've been going through is a result of one simple thing. And it was part of God's plan, but it was enacted, it was activated by human beings in the Garden of Eden. And that one simple thing was eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, internalizing the voice of the snake. That's what happened. That's what happened. And how was that explained? When that happened, what was the result in the psyche, in the mind? That we acquired a limited, constricted das or dot consciousness. So you can translate this word as consciousness. It has more specific meanings also, but let's translate it as consciousness. So when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and the snake's voice got internalized as each of our own, that's why it's so toxic. That's why it's so powerful, because we believe it. We think it's me talking to me. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's a snake, but it's in your head. You know, we talk about mind control. Well, that's the original mind control. And it's ultimately almost infinitely powerful until we see it for what it is. So this was the institution or the inauguration or the activation of Das Tachton, of this lower constricted consciousness, where each person, like it says in the Torah, Ein Deosei on Shabbos, no two people have the same exact consciousness. We all each see the world through our own eyes. They're empirical reports. I don't know if there's studies, but about that, you know, when people are around a fender bender or somebody stole somebody's wallet, whatever it is, everybody's reporting from a different point of view. They're all sure that they saw this or they saw that. And it's very rare that somebody is exactly 100% accurate and clear in what he saw, because Ein Deosei on Shabbos, no person's consciousness is exactly, or perspective is exactly like anyone else's. So why will Mashiach come behesach hadas, when we're in a state of the removal of this individual consciousness? Because then we will not be constricted and distorted in how we view reality, how we view ourselves. Then we will not be stuck to our own identities. We will not be stuck in the world of judgment. And on a deeper level, the way that, and this is going to lead into I'm not going to make this long. This is my second cup. So, and I know you're all either celebrating Purim or just finishing celebrate. Actually, it's still the afternoon in America, I think. So depending on where you are in the world. I don't want to make this long. It's a special holiday, but I do want to tap into the energy. I do want to keep this going. We are working on changing. I'll get back to the thought that I was just expressing in a minute, but the world, the realm that we're changing here, the level that we're addressing in this 6-week challenge is the brain wiring. Of course, as part of that, we're going to be changing the information that we have, that we grasp, that we internalize, and that's going to change the feelings, the emotions that we have. And part of the challenge every day, every broadcast, is to do another action and to keep adding on. We don't drop them. We want to build. But what is the aim? What is the primary target of all of this? Is to change the wiring in the brain, because the body, the physical body, comes from a higher source than the soul. The physical body is a vessel. The soul is a vessel that can experience God's light. The body is a vessel that can experience God's essence. Without the body, we wouldn't have free choice. Without the body, we wouldn't be able to keep the commandments. But here's the thing that I want to say on a really personal level. The physical body is what allows us and actually forces us to feel like the story is real. I'll give you an example. If you are actually watching a movie and there's music, that eerie music, and you're identifying with the character, and she's gone into the woods, and it's scary, and you know that there's somebody after her, or there's a giant tiger or whatever it is, you can feel it in your body, and that grips you. That's why some people can't take their eyes away actually from something that they're watching on TV or a movie. In our lives, the stories, the way that things occur to us through our das, through our individual das, the way life occurs to us, it's not just like conceptual. It's not just that we think this and we think that and we think another thing as we tell ourselves these stories. It's that we feel it in our bodies. If I tell you, hey, there's a hungry tiger behind you, watch out. If you don't feel it in your body, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to be scared. If you feel it in your body, that's the part of the job of your body. You know, if you actually believe there's a hungry lion behind you chasing you, so your body will pump out all kinds of chemicals and you will start to move faster than you normally could. But even in the very simplest sense, we believe our lives. We believe that we are real, that things around us are real, that our beliefs are real, that our experiences are real, that our perceptions and perspectives are real, because our body tells us that. So we need, and there are other reasons besides this, but we're not going to do them all in one session. That blonde thing in my eye. the screen is reversed for me, so I can't tell which direction I'm going in. Anyway, we believe them because of our bodies, and so we need to be able to start to shift how our body experiences things, what our cell receptors are pulling in, what experiences we're tuned into, even addicted to, what our brain wiring tells us, so that our body produces different chemicals as we move through our lives. When our body produces different neuropeptides, different chemicals, we're going to have different feelings of our emotions, physical feelings of our emotions, like that anxiety feeling that you might have in your chest, that might turn into an anticipation feeling. It's really the same energy together with the story. Or you might feel that delicious, tingling, settling feeling when you get, when you hear or see something that makes you deeply inspired and moved. Or the pleasure that you feel when you're laughing and laughing and laughing, or you're looking deeply into someone else's eyes. We want to change our neurochemistry. We want to change our brain wiring. We want to change our cells in our bodies, because then our bodies will tell us a different story. It's not that we'll have to force our minds to believe something different, even though we feel a certain way. No, we will feel a different way. And that will automatically give different information to our minds and to our hearts. We will take different actions. And even more than this, we will be connected to a different field. There are two fields of reality here simultaneously. The Rebbe said so many times that we're the last generation of exile, the first generation of redemption. Both of these states of reality. I'll talk more about this. I'm not sure if I'll do another broadcast tomorrow when I'll be having people over for Purim here, or if it'll be the next day, but I'll be talking about two fields in terms of mystical Torah. What are the two fields? What's the switch that we need to make now? But in a simple sense, are you seeing the breakdown? Like you're a chicken hatching from the egg. Are you identifying with the shell that's cracking, or are you identifying with the air, the space that's emerging? So we're not just inspiring ourselves conceptually or emotionally. That's not the intention of the 6 weeks. It takes, they say 3 weeks, maybe some people say 4 weeks, some people say 2 weeks, if you really go all in to start rewiring your brain. Just as a new foundation, then you want to continue from there. Change your default. But once the body is changed, the whole game is changed automatically. You're connected to a different reality that has different laws of cause and effect. So what is the assignment for today? What is the challenge for today? So I just want to review what we're already doing. We're not trying something and dropping it. I'm still wearing my bracelet. Sometimes I use a different bracelet, but it's still a bracelet. When I have a complaint, a negative thought, when I'm resisting something in my life, I change hands. I put the bracelet on the other hand. It have to be something that I say out loud. Just if I have that experience in my mind of negativity, I switch it. What does that do? It brings consciousness, higher consciousness, and it tells the brain to delete. Tells the brain, nope, this we want to change. We're debugging our system. We're changing our brains by doing that. And then we talked about in the second call, we talked about the imperative to make yourself happy throughout the month of Adar. We said the official launch is Purim, so we're in the official launch now of the 6 weeks. We still have 2 weeks left of Adar. Adar is the month in which we bring down the utmost transformation and source of the soul and divinity and mazel by being joyful, by making ourselves happy, by making other people happy. So that was the assignment of day 2. When I say day 2, it's really day. Now I wrote day 3 because it's the third broadcast, but it's my day 5. It's your day 4. Anyway, I just want people to be able to say, oh, I saw 2, now it's 3, I missed 5. But really, we've been doing this for 4 days since we launched. So each broadcast will have an assignment, though. And we want the assignments to continue because we want to build. So when we switch the bracelet or the, whatever it is that you're using as your marker, it tells your brain, no, change that. So what we want to do is to add to that and to add to the joy, and this is the epitome of the joy. On Purim, it's the full moon. It is the middle of the month. It is the intensity of the month. But now that intensity, that potential continues to grow throughout the next 2 weeks of Adar. And then starting with the first day of Nisan, which is now 2 weeks from now, then we enter into the special energy of liberation, redemption, and miracles. But we want to be prepared for it. We have the next 2 weeks to prepare for it, to make new vessels, to switch the brain wiring so that we can lean into the miracles big time, big time. So for today, adding on, still using the bracelet, still doing everything possible to bring joy to yourself, happiness to yourself, to the people around you, and together. So what's the difference between the people around you and together? So you can do something for somebody that you're not participating in. You can buy someone a present. Someone just brought me this. Somebody who came over to hear the Megillah reading here brought me a bag of treats. Or you can go out. You can get together with people. So those are 3 different things. But for today, we're going to add this. We're going to add Hesed Hadas. We're going to start to work on letting go of the narrow consciousness. Adalo Yada, what is it? As I said before, we're commanded on Purim to drink Adalo Yada till we don't know the difference between Haman, the wicked, and Mordechai, the tzaddik, the righteous. Again, drunkenness is not encouraged, but what is the idea? Happiness is encouraged. What is the idea of Adalo Yada in this sense? To not need to know. It's connected with Hesed Hadas, with the removal of Das. Remember the Das, the lower consciousness came in when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, and the snake voice was internalized, telling each of us what the world really is and what it's not, and what's good and what's bad, especially what's bad about us, about other people, why it's our fault, why it's not our fault, why it's someone else's fault, why it's really bad, why it's impossible, why we can't, why we should be able to, why it's not fair, all of that stuff. And that started back then, and that is the bottom line foundation or foundational cause of the fallenness of this world. So of course Mashiach is going to come behesed hadas, when our das is removed, when we're not attached to those stories, because then we're going to be in reality. What's reality? Ein od milvado. There's nothing here but God, and it's all good and it's all going to good. Yes, it's been traumatic. We are working here in these 6 weeks to disconnect ourselves from the trauma matrix and connect ourselves to the joy and miracle and liberation and Geula, God and God love matrix. So it's worth a little work. It's worth a little effort. So the assignment for today is to lean into that energy of Adalo Yada, of not knowing, of not being connected to your opinion and your belief system and your complaints and your upsets, and simply to surrender and to allow for the possibility that everything's taking you in the direction that you want to go in, even if it doesn't feel like it. So this is part of the work that we're going to be doing ongoingly, that we want to train our, when our brains get connected to something that we don't like, the identity is the ego is very, 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 very attached to giving opinions. That makes it feel alive. So we have to have opinions about things. Someone's good, someone's bad. This is right, this is wrong. It shouldn't be this late. It shouldn't be like this. It should be like this. I like them. I don't like them. They're right. They're the good ones. Whatever it is, we want, and mostly about ourselves. So I'm not talking about accepting pure evil. That's not what we're talking about. But on the regular human level, we're all full of opinions, and we're so sure about our opinions. So Adalo Yada, let's say l'chaim right now, l'chaim, whether you say it on water, coffee, tea, wine, scotch, whatever. L'chaim, l'chaim. God should help us. Hashem should bless us so that we can detach from that toxic programming, that viral programming of the snake voice of the Eitz Hadas, and attach to true reality. So we are going to practice flowing with whatever happens and allowing it to just be what it is, with the assumption that it's taking us where we want to go, even if we don't see it yet. So one of the ways that we can do that is just to be grateful for, when you're triggered, just look at something else. You get upset with somebody, don't try to fight it. That's a more advanced level. Like you're mad at somebody, or you have a bad thought about somebody, somebody you love, maybe. So it's difficult in the moment to convince yourself that you shouldn't have that thought. It is possible a lot of the time, but it's much easier to think about something else. So immediately switch your thought to something that you like, that you love, that you enjoy. It doesn't even have to be something you're doing. Like I often switch my thought to canoeing down a river. There's no river right here, and no canoe either. My canoe's in Pennsylvania. But having that thought B'makom shel machshavto shel adam sham hu nimtza hu kulo sham. The place where a person's thought is, he is actually there. So we can switch to a delightful thought. You can imagine you're having a massage. You can be smelling flowers. You can be rolling down a grassy hill. You can be, whatever it is that you can be soaring through space in luxury, in a luxury ship. I put that on my wish list actually last few days. Why not? So to switch your thought, that's one half of the assignment, just to surrender to what is, to create a good feeling wherever you have a bad feeling by switching your thought. And the other half of this is to, L'chaim Leslie, the other half of this is to look for synchronicities. In Torah language, we call this hashgacha pratit, divine providence. What is that? Why do these things exist? How does manifesting work? How is it even possible? How are there synchronicities in the world? What is divine providence? So you have to understand that God is creating the world from absolute nothingness, divine nothingness, undifferentiated divine potential, divine light, divine will, divine desire, divine speech. But it wasn't something that happened once. It's happening continuously to the point where we're taught that if God would stop speaking the words of creation, bringing creation into existence at every nano instant, if he would stop speaking those words for one moment, the entirety of creation, the entire universe would disappear. Not disappear like, oh, bye-bye, but disappear like it never was here in the first place. In other words, even time, even the past would disappear. And this is mind-boggling. But because this is the true nature of reality, that we don't see it, it's happening way faster than our minds can comprehend so far. But because this is the case, every single thing, it's easy to conclude that every single thing that happens to each one of us in our own individual bubble of creation is happening by divine intention, on purpose, for our ultimate good. Chag Purim Sameach, Roko. So are you with me? So everything, tell me if you're with me, every single thing that we experience is being custom created for us in the moment by an infinitely loving creator on behalf of our purpose and our ultimate good. And when I say good, I mean l'chaim, joyful good, grounded good, physical good, emotional good, every kind of good. We just don't necessarily see it yet. So, and one of the problems is that because our cell receptors are looking for, what's not right, what's scary, that's just part of what happened when the world fell. So we need to now start to notice the things that are good. Like you're trying to fix something, your mind is set on something. How about Hesach Hadas? Take the concentrated focus off of that. Allow the world to be created around you, through you, with you, as you, and start noticing the beauty. And again, the bracelet will help both rewire and create consciousness. All of these things will. So we want to switch our mind, looking for the good, and also we want to recognize the synchronicities. We want to recognize when we notice the divine providence. So it's always divine providence, all the time. Nothing exists for one single instant except by God's absolute intention. In fact, Chassidus tells us that even the turning of a leaf, the falling of a leaf from a tree, is by direct divine providence. God is doing that. It's impossible to imagine. Trillions and trillions and trillions, and I don't know what numbers are, orders of magnitude bigger than trillions, but they're even trillions of 50, 70 trillion cells in one body, and they have parts. It's incomprehensible completely, and yet this is what the reality is. And it's not only the falling of a leaf from the tree, it's how many times it spins before it hits the ground. God is quite the master artist. And we are of God. We're just revealing that. We're uncovering that. It's a process. It's a process. It takes humility and commitment and desire. And joy really helps. So notice the divine providence. Notice the hashgacha pratit, or the synchronicities. How does that work? You're thinking a word, and all of a sudden you hear someone say that word, or you see that word written on the side of a truck, or you see it online, or you're thinking about someone and they call you, or you're looking for lime green cars and they show up. I don't have to give you infinite examples. There's so many things that happen to us each day. I think the first time I ever noticed synchronicities in a real way At least it's the first time I really remember. It was many, many years ago. I was driving in Manhattan. For some reason, I was thinking about meat. I was probably thinking about how to buy kosher meat in Brooklyn and bring it back to where I couldn't get it, where I lived in New Jersey. And just as I was thinking about what meat should I get, a truck drove by and it had the word meat on the side in large letters. And I'm like, wow, that's weird. And since then, if I pay attention, it's many, many, many times a day. So you want to notice, it's nice to think of this as God winking at you. So notice the winks. It's good to write them down. Everybody should have a 6-week metamorphosis journal. Write them down and really focus on the idea, the possibility that life is actually, your life is, and your world around you is being custom created for you. And God can do that. God can create each of our own worlds for each of us separately and together in very mysterious ways. So you want to notice. So that's the assignment for today. Just reviewing one more time. And then I'll look, I see a couple people have messaged me. I'll say l'chaim to everybody, and then we'll let you go on Purim, and we'll resume either tomorrow or the next day. No, probably the next day, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so reminding you about the bracelet. Anytime you have a complaint in your mind, switch the bracelet. Don't sell yourself short. Don't try to fake it. That deletes let's say a little shard of the complaining programming from your mind. It will help your cells to become receptors, to become addicted to joy and positivity. And then, of course, your cells are attractor fields also. So your cells will be pulling those things in. Okay? Make yourself happy, make other people happy, and be happy together with people, because that always enhances happiness when you're like having a party or you're having a moment or a deep talk or you're dancing with someone, whatever it is. And then our assignment for today that we're adding on, we're not letting anything go, we're building, is to surrender to the not knowing with the assumption that things are moving in our favor. That's also the Purim story. The Purim story took place after over many years. And there were a lot of negative things that happened. And there were a lot of things that happened that nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. Only afterwards, when Esther ordered the Megillah, the story of Purim, to be written, we see, and we read twice. We just read it here, and we'll read it again in the morning. You have to hear it in the night. You have to hear it in the day. We read that story, and we see how God wove a tapestry through people and through nations and through events that led to an absolute turnaround, and that drew down that energy of nafochu, to turn darkness into light, to transform something negative into something positive like this. And how do you know what role you're here playing? And how do you know what effect your one turnaround has? Your one action, your one switch of the bracelet, your one good intention, your one prayer, your one making yourself happy, making someone else happy, being happy with someone else. Don't sell it short. Every single thing you do over the next 2 weeks, especially over all of life and reality, but over the next 2 weeks, especially, every moment that you bring any kind of happiness into the world, non-destructive happiness, of course, to yourself or to anyone else, you're actually changing the attractor fields of the entire universe. This is not a joke. And of course, you're uplifting your own life, and that counts. So we need to really understand that. We need to lean into it, and then notice the synchronicities. I want you to start training yourself to see that this world's not real. It's really important, and it's here to stay, but it's not solid like we think it is. It is a simulation. It is a perspective, and it's created by blocking off almost everything that exists to create one individual form of existence, universe. And then of the entire universe, one person, blocks off everything else to form. It's like Michelangelo said about his David, in that famous quote, how did he sculpt the David? He said he didn't make the David, he chipped off everything that wasn't the David. So you are God and everything that there is, with almost all of it chipped off, so that you can show up as you. And then within your life, your potential is mostly chipped off so that you can express yourself in very narrow ways. But we're here to recapture the potential. And our cell wiring, our brain wiring, our bodies are keeping us from seeing that because of the current state of programming that they're in. not your fault, not my fault. This is part of the divine plan. This is the fallen world. This is the snake and the snake voice. We're changing that now. So we're recouping and recapturing and re-revealing from the inside out of our free choice, out of our divine power, the more and more infinite layers of who and what we actually are. And in Adar, we're doing it through happiness and fun. What could be better than that? So happy Purim. Let me see what you guys are saying. Lynn has been so spun up lately by so much in the US. I'm so glad, Lynn, that you're resonating with it. Hi, Sonia. Purim Sameach. L'chaim. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. It was a little shorter this time. Anyway, happy Purim, Chag Purim Sameach, Afreilichem Purim, whatever language you like to use. This is the epitome of the time to draw down the joy. So don't waste it. I want to hear from you guys. Leave your comments below, like and share.